On behalf of the Delaware Department's leadership team, I would like to thank all of our veterans, National Guardsmen, and reservists for their service to the state of Delaware and to the United States. I know the importance of being a veteran because I'm a former veteran, and I served 4 years in the United States Air Force. So I know all of the core values that translate throughout your life and really help you as you move forward through your career. So once again, just want to thank everyone for their service.
Hi, my name is Sergeant First Class Kennard Denby. I am with the Army Delaware National Guard at Joint Force Headquarters in Newcastle, Delaware. To give you some history of my military background, I was in the United States Marine Corps for 10 years. I served in Dover Air Force Reserves for 4 years, and I've been here in the Army National Guard for 12, for a total of 26 years.
I was Staff Sergeant Ferguson in the Air Force. And I was a specialist, which is considered a corporal in the Army.
Okay, my name is Robert Heichman, and I was a Staff Sergeant in the United States Air Force.
My name is Sean L. Levan, and I'm currently in Air National Guard, Master Sergeant.
My name is Donovan Brown, and I was Tech Sergeant in the United States Air Force Reserve.
My name is Teresa Carruthers. I joined the military in 1984. I went to Lackland Air Force Base for my initial training.
I'm Brian Tinley. In the military and the Army, I was a sergeant.
My name is Dylan Steele. When I got out, I was a sergeant of the Marine Corps.
My name is Audrey Fernandez. I am a specialist in the United States Army.
Susan Smith, and my rank was an E4, which is a specialist.
All right, my name is Garland Williams. I was a senior airman in the United States Air Force.
Robert Kelly. I retired as an E7 Master Sergeant, United States Air Force Reserve.
My military career started in 1979, 101st Airborne Division, Camp Campbell, Kentucky. I went from the 101st Airborne Division to Europe in about, say, 1981. Stayed over in Europe for maybe a little more than a year or thereabouts in a 24th SNS Service Supply Battalion, where I received numerous accolades for a lot of my work and tenure. Then I went from there, right there, and continued to move, as I said before, into my reserve career. So for me, they have categories in the military. I served active, I also served in the reserves, and I also served in the National Guard, which is mostly likely unheard of. That's kind of difficult. So I served all three of those categories profoundly, while still yet, guess what? Employed with this great Department of Corrections.
I first went in the Marine Corps because I was told that the Marine Corps was the toughest there is, and I always like a challenge. So when I went in the Marine Corps, when I first went down to boot camp, I was challenged. But as time went on and I got out of boot camp and got into the fleet and did my job, which was field artillery, it became more interesting. When you're in boot camp, it tends to make you think about things, react without thinking. And in combat, that's what you need to do. Help save lives, help save your life.
I have pretty much been a military brat all my life. My father was in the Air Force. I was born at Tyndall Air Force Base in Florida. Traveled to Iran. My father was stationed there in 1975. The base was next to the Shah's Palace, and the Shah was very nice. I remember swimming in the pool that he had there at his palace. We were there until 1977. We were one of the lucky families that got out before the hostage takeover. We got out with all of our things. We were very fortunate at that point. I went into the military in 1984, approximately a year after I graduated high school. I was in Lackland Air Force Base for the initial training, and then I went on to Denver to finish up my career training.
There I went to the Air Force structures, that's building stuff. So most of the time the infantry get there first, or whoever gets there first, and we will build places for them to live instead of living in a tent in a hot area. So sometimes it's hot and you're building and you got missiles coming in, you got bombs coming in until we can get the area secured. That was kind of tough for me because that's when I learned a lot of things out there. Really being out there most of the time, being in the woods, being out to a foreign country. But my advice to people, I wish that everyone can go in the military so they can learn what it is to appreciate America, because that's something we don't do. We do not appreciate America. So I have the utmost respect for America, so we should be grateful.
In 1983, I joined the United States Air Force Reserves first, went to basic training and came out, got my training to be a C5 crew chief. It didn't take me long to realize that that was the life that I wanted. So in 1984, I went active duty, and I was a C5 crew chief at Delaware Air Force Base. Basically, the crew chief is the person that's, I want to say in charge of the aircraft, but they are. We scheduled all the inspections and maintenance, and we would fly with the aircraft as well. Later, I became a specialist with what we call AMS, which is the fire suppression, water, and stuff like that. So I still stayed on the C5s, but worked more with specialists like cargo, the rollers on the C5, and taking care of airdrops, setting up airdrops.
But when I went into the Navy, I was initially assigned to a ship but the ship was already docked out, so I had ended up going to Sigonella, Italy. So I was there for like 2 weeks before they flew me out to my ship, what was already on a med cruise. So my first experience in the Navy was rough, because being from Delaware, you flew miles, and then you're in the middle of nowhere on this ship, and you're E nothing. You really don't have any rank at that time, so you work from sun up to sundown. And it's just non-stop work. So it was a little tough in the beginning. You're given, different details, and you just got to do it. And so I was out of the Navy probably a month and a half, 2 months, and I swore back in. But I swore back in the Air Force, as an Air Force, and I went in. They sent me to school for a jet engine mechanic. Gave me $5,000 bonus to go in, and that's kind of what got me back on my feet. I came back to Delaware with nothing, no car, no anything. So, the Air Force really was a blessing to me at that time. Got me on my feet, got my GI Bill and everything situated, and voila, things started to take off for me from there.
What made me join the military? I needed to grow. I needed to be challenged, and the military was the best avenue for me at the time. Well, I joined in 2016 with the Army. My job was a Cav Scout, 19 Delta, reconnaissance, which is the eyes and ears of the Army. So you're pretty much not like a spy, but you're pretty much looking out for the enemy, and you're reporting to the higher ups to let them know what's going on in the battlefield. I did a tour in 2017 in Afghanistan. I did that for 9 months. Came back and I stayed in Fort Bragg for my whole career.
My experience was a little different, I believe. I never did deploy to any combat zones. When I started out, I went initially to Quantico, Marine Corps base. I did a lot of training on ranges there. I did go deploy to Morocco, and we did a joint training mission teaching the Moroccan Army different weapons. We gave them quite a bit of things, and we stood there for a few months and taught them and trained them and everything they needed to use the equipment we gave them.
What made me join the military was when I was graduating high school. I wasn't really sure what college that I wanted to go to, and because I was young and I was skipping 11th grade, I went straight to 12th grade, and I didn't really know what college I was going to attend and what I wanted to take up. I decided to just join the military because my mom told me I couldn't just sit home. So I joined the military, and I chose to join the Army Reserves, and that's how I ended up being in the military. And I was only 17 years old when I first went. So that's how I ended up being in the Army. My experience was I got to travel the world. I got to do a tour overseas, and that was to Germany, and we got deployed after 9/11 for Operation Enduring Freedom. And I was stationed in Germany in Kaiserslautern, and that was a different experience. I probably would have never went to Europe and seen that side of life being stationed over there if I wasn't in the Army.
Travis Air Force Base, California. So I was a environmental management and pest control. So we ran a 90-day hazardous waste accumulation site, taking hazardous waste from all over the base, prepping it for storage, prepping it for shipment. And we also did pest control and animal control for the base.
Started off in the Army. Army National Guard. Definitely loved it. Had some good people there. It was rough. It was rough. I was a 13 Bravo cannon crew member. You know, we shot the tanks, 109 Hauser, 105 Hauser. But the unit I got once I finished basic and AIT, I spent a while in basic and AIT because it was 0 week doing Desert Storm. So I spent a little longer, 5.5 weeks. Then I went to my regular unit up in Kingsbridge, big armory, historic, and that's where I was stationed in Army National Guard. And was driving home, and I just looked through the rearview mirror, and I seen Air National Guard. Made a U-turn, talked to a guy over there, the recruiter there, and he said, you got a fully ETS out of the Army before you can come over to the Air National Guard. He said, when is your ETS day? I said, the 24th. He said, if you're serious, be here the 25th. 25th, I was right back up there swearing in. It was a great experience. You know, it was new, you know.
So being a reservist, I haven't gone to too many places. I've done within the States a lot of different things, but I went to Guantanamo Bay in 2018 for about a year, and that was in a way exhilarating. I met so many different people from different states, even countries, and it was nice to go somewhere and meet different people that also have experienced different things in the military like I have. So doing that, it was a great time, and I wouldn't change it for the world. If I could go again with the same group of people, I would. I plan on doing at least 20 to 22 years, if not more if I can. I mean, at the time when I joined, I was 17, so 20 years from there, I'm still under 40. So if I do a little bit over, I can retire, full pension, and it'll be beneficial for my kids and overall my family to continue it enough. I mean, I'm already halfway there, so why not continue and finish it off strong?
Yes, I was in 420th, Seaver Sandberg Army Center, Fort Pedrytown, New Jersey, where I had to go on Mutual 5 drills occasionally and leave, where I also went back to Non-Commissioned Officer Academy in New Cumberland, Toby Hanna Army Depot. So went to that school at the 1st Army. I also with the 198 Signal Battalion in Newport, Delaware. Also with the 150th Aviation Unit in Newcastle, Delaware as a jet refueler.
1987, I joined the United States Navy. The reason I joined is I kind of want to do something different, better myself, and at the time there was kind of nothing around here. So I joined the Navy. I was assigned to USS Guadalcanal. I was a SAR swimmer, worked on the carrier, did that for about 4.5 years. The military decided to downsize, and my position was going to be cut. So I looked into the Army, and they gave me a pretty big bonus, so I joined the United States Army, which is a full-time position in 200 MP company out of Salisbury, Maryland, and deployed different areas. After Desert Storm 1, I got out, kind of missed home. found a job with DOC, started at DOC, and once I got into DOC, I met some co-workers that were in the Air Force, joined the Air Force, and been there ever since. So when you retire from a military branch, they do such thing as a shadow box for all the years that you served in the military. This shadow box was made by DCI and put together. The United States Air Force Reserve, my unit, 512th Security Force, presented this to me when I retired on April 1st of this year. The flag represents, of course, our nation. This flag that you see in the shadow box was flown over Afghanistan. There was a pilot that we protected in Afghanistan, and she flew this flag on a mission and presented it to me during my retirement. The medals you see is what I've earned throughout my career. The coins or challenge coins, what we have in the department as well as in the military. It represents all three branches that I served: the Navy, the Army, and the Air Force. And also on the left side, you'll see the ranks that I earned all the way up to Master Sergeant. The wings represent when I was a air crew, when I was a crew swimmer on the USS Guadalcanal. So this represents my entire career of the 34 years that I served.
Proud to have you on board at the Delaware Department of Corrections. We know the value of having veterans in our overall organizational scheme. We know the leadership, the knowledge, the integrity that you all bring to each and every position out there within the agency. So we really thank you for being part of our team.
Well, let me say, man, Sergeant Robert Ferguson. Department of Corrections, I joined the Department of Corrections March of 2007. During this time and corrections, I learned different things in corrections. I learned, first of all, how to count people, how to be responsible for inmates, how to tell them lock in, feeding them, being a counselor to them. It helped me out with dealing with people. In the military, you deal with all types of people. For example, being in Afghanistan, I dealt with Russians, Filipinos, Chinese, Kyrgyzstan, Pakistan. I had to deal with different range of different types of people, but also that person's a person first. And even though we have a language barrier between us, I tried my best to communicate with them as well as they tried their best to communicate with me. So communication is one of the top priorities that the military taught me about communication, and trying to say people are people and don't go by race or ethnic or anything like that. Go by them being a person first.
So in the Department of Corrections, I am Captain Kennard Denby, assigned to the Plummer Center of Community Corrections. I oversee the security side of this aspect. I also deal with outside contractors. I am the supervisor for the ERT team. I oversee the ERT team because of my experience and background with being on CERT and my military background.
My name is Teresa Carruthers. I am an expert SPO, Senior Probation Officer at the Dover Probation Office, DO 53. And I currently supervise an electronic monitoring hybrid caseload that consists of level 4 home confinement for sex offenders, pretrial, GPS, level 3 GPS, and standard level 3.
So I started at what was in, it was then called DCC, and I came in and I worked for a while, and then in 2001 I went to Sussex Correctional Center. I made corporal in 2001, and I started questioning myself about that point, asking myself, is this going to be what I do for 30 years? And if it is, am I going to spend 30 years just telling people no and locking doors? So I had to figure there had to be much more to working in a prison than just locking doors and telling people no and arguing all the time. So I started taking it upon myself to educate myself, and I started taking ACA courses, American Correctional Association courses, and then National Institution of Corrections, and then I went ahead and finished my degree in criminal justice. I got my bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and I actually started finding positives to the job, and I started enjoying my career, and I continued in progressing to make sergeant and then lieutenant. I made lieutenant in 2007. I actually came back to Vaughn to be a lieutenant, and I was a lieutenant up until I just made staff lieutenant about a year and a half ago.
Well, you know, just learning how to work with different people from different nationalities from all over the world. You know, I've been to Israel, Greece, Turkey, Spain, Italy, France, Romania, and when you're in different parts of the world and you're dealing with people from different walks of life, you know, even in boot camp, we had people from Texas and Philadelphia and New York, and when you're dealing with all these different personalities, you learn how to deal with people's, you know, different moods and different temperaments and, you know, different walks of life. So it prepared me for coming into this setting. You come into the prison setting and you're dealing with people from all over. You know, everybody that's locked up is not even from Delaware, so you learn how to deal with people and where they're from and building rapport with people. So I think the military and the training that I've got from the military kind of prepared me for this. You know, so being a people person, I love working with people, you know, and I love interacting with people. And so it was the right fit for me.
Brian Tinley, corporal out of SCI. I've been in the department for 10 years. I started at MCI, Morris Community Correctional Center, for my probation period. I went to James T. Vaughn, and I started there in 2014. I also transferred to the VOP and did 10 years, and I transferred to SCI, and I've been there my whole time. So I've been in the military for 4 years. And before the military, I started corrections. So when I came back, I went for the cert. I didn't pass it the first time, and I'm pretty sure because of the military, I got bearing, I understood, and I was stronger mentally, and that's why I passed. So the cert is the highest level we have for corrections, for security. And in the military, how that helped me out is, we're not but security forces in the military. So it all translated. So it was pretty much the same thing in the same type of family-oriented way. So it was actually a great step for me coming back and getting into the unit.
My name is Dylan Steele. I'm a sergeant for the Department of Corrections. I joined in October of 2011, and I joined, I had some family members working here, and they told me it was a good career opportunity. I've been here just over 10 years. So far, I believe it's been a pretty good experience. I made my way up through the ranks, promoted to corporal in 2014. Once I came down to SCI, I believe being able to show that leadership skills that I previously had in the military helped me out doing that. I recently picked up sergeant in 2018, and I believe so far with where I'm at in the department, with my bid and everything, I believe everything's going good.
My name is Audrey Fernandez, and I am a sergeant. I was living in Maryland, and I was trying to get out of living in Baltimore. I needed to get as far away from there as possible. I've been living there for years, and I wanted to expand my horizons and grow from where I had been for the last, I'll say 2 or 3 years living there. And a friend of mine's mom suggested, she said, I could see you doing DOC, you already do military, you're military police, so why not try another experience in the same aspect but in law enforcement, but with DOC. So I gave it a shot, and I've been here ever since. Basic training at 17 was rough. I didn't think it would be so bad, but it did give me a structure that at 17 a lot of kids don't have. And 10 years, almost 11 years later, working in DOC, it shows me that my age is different than some people that work here. But my structure that I got with the military has put me in a position that shows that I am mature. With the Army, comparing it to here, it's very similar. You have to have the same bearing. You need to understand the structure that you need to have when it comes to your chain of command, people above you, or even people on the same level as you. And I think that joining at 17, then coming here in my mid-20s, it showed me that I can do anything. And I thank the military for that, because I've been able to do a lot of different things and mature in ways that, had I not joined at 17, I wouldn't have been where I am now at almost 28 years old.
My name is Susan Smith. My rank is a sergeant, and I'm employed at Baylor Women's Correctional Facility. I've been in the department for 8.5 years. I was able to use my business degree and put it to use being a supply officer here. So for me, it's a little less stressful, and it takes away from being that soldier that I was in the military. Even though I may still work the units, sometimes going back in that supply officer job, so it gives me a different balance.
Been my first 17.5 years at Howard R. Young Correctional Institution. Started out as an officer working the units, then got promoted to corporal. Again, same thing, work ethic, coming to work every day, showing, improving, and got promoted to lieutenant. Was lieutenant from 2005 up until 2017. Yeah. So I had a long career, saw a lot, did a lot. I had some really good supervisors in the military, and I took my style from bits and pieces of their style, and that's where I learned to be a leader at. I learned to be a leader in the military, in the Air Force, and I just brought that with me to the department, and it's got me this far. So,
Sergeant Sean Levan. I work in Delaware Department of Correction, Transportation Unit, Special Ops. Came to Delaware in 1997. I came to Delaware and I started the academy. February 2nd, 97. It's definitely a blessing, amazing, everything. I mean, I got 24 years and what I got, 4 months, and I'll have 25. Learning everything I did in the department, I just brought the military with me. And basically I just brought that hard work and that integrity to the Department of Correction. And I think I'm a pretty decent officer. I think I'm a pretty decent officer, you know, hard-working guy. Definitely help others. Love to help others. It's not about me. And getting the job done with no complaints. Because I always remember one thing, just like the military, I signed up for this.
My name is Robert Kelly with the Department of Corrections. I started in May of '93. Once I graduated, I started at Vaughn, which was DCC. I was there for a few years and then transferred down to Sussex Boot Camp. When boot camp was here, we started the boot camp program. I left there, went over to the Work Release Center and over to the VOP Center. I'm current staff attendant at Sussex County Community Corrections. I've been with the department for 29 years. But my leadership skills through the military helped me to become a better leader in DOC. Also helping young DOC correctional officers. I guess I could say I was looked up to as a mentor for them, and the way I carry myself and just helping them get through day by day operations the way I have through the military. So my military career, I enjoyed a lot of it. Some of it was challenging due to combat missions, but if I didn't like it, I guess I wouldn't stay for 34 years, so it was very enjoying sometimes. I've always wanted to defend this nation, and as far as my DOC career, I've enjoyed every bit of it. I've been here for 29 years, and like I said, with both military and DOC, it was very rewarding to be a correctional officer and be in the military at the same time.
Hi, again, Harold or Mac. My DOC career spans from 1979 until present. In 1979, starting as a CO, working at Howard R. Young Correctional Institution. I went from there as a CO, level 5 facility, and advanced to Plummer Community Correctional Center. There then with Webb Community Correctional Center. There then with Hazel D. Plant Community Correctional Center. As a correctional officer, working in level 4 halfway house community corrections. I also had the likes of working hand in hand with home confinement and the others. In lieu of that, I eventually took on the position of trainer educator. When I took on the trainer educator position, that was working with then it called the Employee Development Center, which is now the Stephen R. Floyd Senior Training Academy. And from there, I went to Trainer Educator 2, from Trainer Educator 2 to Trainer Educator 3, which is the highest level of Trainer Educator for the state of Delaware Department of Corrections. They're retiring in 2016, and then coming back out of 2016, working back with the Training Academy as a casual seasonal employee. And as a casual seasonal instructor, I stayed with the Academy, which changed to CTIs, Correctional Training Instructors, and then there took on the position with DOC for Inclusion, which was Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity as its instructor, which I currently today serve.
Hi, my name is Monroe Hudson, and I'm the Commissioner for the Delaware Department of Correction. To our veterans out there, thank you for your service. Thank you for your willingness to serve our country and to protect our freedoms. To our members who continue to serve, either as reservists or members of the National Guard, thank you for your continued service. And to our employees, thank you for your willingness to serve the state of Delaware as correctional officers, as probation officers, and support staff. The work that you do is so important to our state and to public safety. Thank you, God bless, and be safe.